Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the Technical Trader. It's Tuesday night, April the 9th, and these are the charts of the day at thetechtrader.com. I'm going to cover the longs today, and it's alphabetically starting off with BIOL, which is up 9% today. More importantly, you can see how the series of falling wedges here each broke out and caused a breakout and a run. This time it popped out and pulled back and then broke out across the double top, kind of a little head and shoulders, but this consolidation range appears to have broken with the highest volume in about 4 weeks today of 750,000 shares. Next up, look for a test of the 494 area, and then the top of the channel beckons up around the 6.75 area. That's my next trading target for BIOL. Monster day for First Solar. It announced several things today, including blowout earnings. Surprised Wall Street indeed. The stock, which opened at 27.14, reached as high as 41 today. Incredible. Backed off to 39.35, but was still up 12.31, or 45.5% on 40 million shares. To say the least, a key technical breakout. Now, one of the things about it was at the bottom of this channel was tested, and the stock bounced off of that. This morning, when we looked at it, we thought, I said to myself, this has got a very strong intraday chart, but I didn't think it was going to be that strong. Take a look at the 1-minute intraday chart today on First Solar. Started off at a nice pace, ran up a little bit, and then consolidated a nice little coil here. When it popped around 1:30, it then exploded from 29 to 41, literally in less than half an hour. 12 points. The pullback hit the 50, and then it bounced back up near the high before backing off into the close. But a monster day for First Solar. At this point, I would not be surprised to see the top of this channel or even lateral resistance tested in the next few days. For starters, let's look for something around 45, followed by 50 to 51. But let's see if we do get a pullback to retest the prior high near 36.5, 37. We'll see if that occurs. HIMX, nice follow through. Not the best close today, but I'm glad to see that some of our traders reached their goals and the stock exploded up to 663 from where we first spotted it down here in the 4 range. So beautiful 50-60% move just in the last couple weeks. Now the top of the channel, which is my target, still I think can be reached at 7.5, but it did back off after breaking through some lateral support around 6.25, which is my current target. That was reached on 13.3 million. That's the second biggest volume we've seen since it broke out here in March. So I still think the parallel channel's in play, that we're going to see 7.5 short term. And let's see if we can get a little bit of a pullback consolidation here for a few days, maybe then run. KERX, perhaps a significant day. You take a look at the big spike it had in January, the pullback, and then the tight little coil. Look at the really tight action here, which was followed by a breakout. A little bit of a follow through yesterday or an inside day, but let's call it out. Not quite an inside day because it broke out. But more importantly, the highs along here, which acted as resistance, were broken with a big bang today. And you can see the stock popped through key resistance going all the way back to February. I would look for a test of the 995.10 zone short term. That's my swing trade target, but beyond that, we could see 11 or even 12. Mankind looking a lot like HIMX. Indeed, look at this chart. And you can see how the stock exploded in early March with a big run here from about 2.5 up to 3.75, and then wedged, broke out again, and then a mini wedge, and today popped 29 cents or 7.7%, 5.7 million shares traded, and at this point it appears like the breakout could run this up into the let's call it 450 to 465 zone short term. PCYG, I hadn't noticed this firm until today when I saw the breakout above this major base pattern that went back 1.5 years. And that came after a breakout from this nicely formed wedge which held the prior high right there. Breakout occurred today with a pop of 53 cents or almost 14%. Closed just 2 cents off the high, just under 500,000 shares, but that was the best volume since last October, even before that. Let's see. Yeah, this volume, the biggest volume in a couple of years. So on a breakout, that's always significant to have big volume like that. At this point, I'm setting a target at 5.25 for follow through in PYCG. REGI, I've been liking this chart pattern for a while. You can see the rising channel. I was interrupted by this plunge, which cracked from support trend line. It came down to secondary support before bouncing back. But then after retesting the moving average and trend line, this is what's occurred. Today up 77 cents, 9%, and on 1,058,000 shares. So good stuff, and it closed near the high for the day too. If we step back a little bit and look at the longer term channel, it looks to me, line pattern, looks to me like we could see 10.5 short term. That's my target. SGYP, that's Synergy Pharmaceuticals. I've been liking this stock since I saw this spike down and spike up, followed by the falling wedge. After breaking out and running up not far from resistance, it then pulled back in a nice orderly falling wedge again before popping, retesting resistance in this zone, forming a little micro left shoulder head or right shoulder. And then today, the pop. $1 or 16%, nearly 2 million shares traded. More importantly, if you look at the weekly chart, you'll see major resistance going back to 2010, 3 years. Now, if we break out of here, it looks like we closed above that range today. The next target will be for a run up to 11. Keep an eye on this one. This could be interesting. It's thinly traded though, although today was an exceptional day for it. Let's take another look at the intraday chart, for example. Nice start. A little pop, coil, breakout, a little consolidation near the moving averages, ran up to resistance, held it, broke out, spiked up, wedged, and broke out again. So good stuff, good action, not only daily but intraday. And today was a significant, not only day, but a significant close above key resistance. Now, if I look back at a weekly chart and go all the way back as far as I can, I'm looking again at the $11 range as a possible target. Up next is SNTA, which was on my top 25 list for a while. It's a bit choppy, but you can see the general uptrend. After a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave move, it came down on a 1, 2, 3-wave corrective move, which held near the trend line and support. And look at the snapback in the last couple weeks, with today breaking out across the March high of 986, reaching up to 1070 before backing off to 10.25. Only up 26 cents or 2.6%. But I wanted you to see the breakout with volume. And at this point, what I'd be looking for is to see whether we can extend a little bit and rally up towards 1185 thereabout. That's my next target. On a longer term basis, obviously I want to target up around 1314. SPWR. Well, SPWR was definitely a beneficiary, as were many stocks in this group, of the overall move up in First Solar, with a big snapback from 962 to 1185 today. Closed at 11.39, up $1.66 or 17% on 14.4 million shares. Good day for it, but as opposed to FSLR, which broke out and exploded for 12 points and broke out above all these resistance levels, you can see this is still in play here. Now, despite the fact that SPWR was a swing trade, it did break our support here and was stopped out. But look how quickly it snapped back on today's news, and it closed above the moving averages. Let's see if we get any follow-through. But keep an eye on the 12.5, 1280 area. That zone is resistance now. If it gets through that, we may very well still get the targets that I originally intended on this one, up around 1819 on an intermediate basis. Short term, 1415. Big day for Sarepta while I was off the desk. That was a nice move today as it popped from 35.72 to 42.20, about 6.5 points. At one point it was up 6.5, but it backed off a couple and closed up 4. Still 11% gain on 6 million shares nearly, and that was the biggest volume on any day since October when it exploded here. Watch for more upside, although the spike high was 45 that day back in October, and today's high is 42.20. Not sure that the pullback is as meaningful as it may see a follow through tomorrow if we get any kind of buy. Watch this one tomorrow for a move up towards 45. And if you want to play the solar energy group as a whole based on today's news from First Solar, then the TAN ETF, which is the Guggenheim Solar ETF, which had formed a beautiful 3-month or 2-month falling channel and got very narrow here, popped today from 1588 to 1847 and closed 1805 up 230 or 14.6%. With First Solar being a component, it certainly had a big day. But if you look at the overall structure of this base, kind of interesting. There is resistance, and I expect it could be tested at 19.25 as early as tomorrow. Secondary target at 21.25 area, and through that you're on your way. TEAR, one of our swing trades, it's up a little bit today, 30 cents or 4%, but I wanted to show you that it's continuing to press higher. Today's $7.42 price was another new multi-month and multi-year high. You can see that right now, the tight channel that I drew in here with these rising tops is being adhered to. But if it breaks through it, and starts to accelerate, we wouldn't be shocked to see this run up towards 9.5. And lastly, today's XRM, a paper products company, but a really nice looking chart. Leg 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is the fifth wave up. Big day today, up $1.15 or 21% nearly. 554,000. That's the biggest volume I've seen all year. Pretty thinly traded, almost the biggest volume in the year. Now, if you step back a little bit and look at the base that was built and breakout in wedges, it does look pretty good. I expect to see a test of 7.25 short term. Intermediate target would be somewhere up around the 9.5 area if it does continue to accelerate up and test the early first quarter 2012 high up in that area. Right there, let's call it 9.75. And that's it for me today, folks. That's the stocks I wanted to cover tonight. You have a good evening and a good trading day tomorrow.